Got out.
Hey Antichrist magazine fans! We are Fractal Sun, a conceptual prog metal band from Costa Rica, and we just released our new album called TURMOIL on July 16th. Go ahead, give it a listen. Hope you like it. The reason why we chose Fractal Sun as our name is due to the relation it has with the space, which is also part of our concept. So we didn't want a name that we were like, hey yeah, it sounds cool, that's it. No, we really wanted to have our name tied with everything that we are trying to express. So as I mentioned, our concept is totally related with space and the name is actually related with the concept itself.
Regarding Turmoil, it's a conceptual progressive metal album, and it tells us about the story of Rihanna, who is a powerful scientist and inversionist from Earth, and she has to make the most difficult decision she's ever had, and this will change completely her life. So we try to express that on our music, so you can listen to all the emotions and thoughts that she is having. And it is interesting that we all have different influences, so you can hear from symphonic metal to death metal and even jazz music. So I promise you won't get bored when you are listening to our album. And the album has 6 songs and are divided in 3 movements. The first is called Dark Project and it has 3 songs: Despair, Escape, and Lost. The second movement is called Visions and it has 2 songs: Noxious Arrival and Holographic Depiction. And the final song is called My Demise.
About the lyrics from our album, Turmoil, since it is a conceptual album, they revolve around the story of our main character. Her name is Oriana. She is a very powerful scientist. She lives on a very futuristic Earth, and she has done a lot of experiments there, especially around exploring space, which is actually very advanced at this point. And where the album starts is with a very difficult dilemma that she has, because she has caused a lot of issues on Earth because of her experiments. People are dying because of that, and she has the option of staying on Earth and trying to solve what she did, or just take in a spaceship that she invested in and leave so she can find a new life. She's a very selfish person and very entitled, so she decides just to leave and look for a new place to live in. What she doesn't know is that the spaceship that she took doesn't have the setup for her to control it, so it takes her around space in a lot of different places, and that makes her feel lost. That makes her feel something that she had never felt before. And then she starts wondering, what did I do? I left people to die on Earth. She starts wondering and questioning her identity and who she really is and what she should do next. And because of this psychological journey that she takes around space, she decides to go back to Earth at the end of the album. And also we are working on the rest of the story, which is going to be our second album.
About the cover art, it is inspired by the concept of the album. We wanted to tell the story on the art. So you can see Oriana in the middle of an unknown planet, and she seems lost, lonely, and small. And this planet looks like a desert, and it refers to the Earth that she just abandoned, that it was going to an imminent destruction. And then we have these monoliths, black and white, and this refers to the inner fight that she is having of not knowing who she really is, if she is a bad person or a good person. And we wanted to reflect all of that on the cover art.
Back in 2016, when the band started, we were into a lot of prog gent music like Periphery, Animals as Leaders, Tesseract, Monuments, and we really wanted to create music similar to that. However, we do have a lot of different influences like symphonic metal from the vocalists and other guitarists. Myself, I listen a lot to death metal, pop, country, so we didn't just wanted to sound like those bands I already named, but to include our other influences. So when you have a sound that you wanted to be like this and want to add other things, it's still progressive. That's the great thing about it. So that's the reason why we did wanted to start it like a progressive band. I think a label is important. They do provide a lot of different useful things for bands that they may not have it, like resources, budget, exposure, management, booking. It depends on the label, of course. However, I don't think this applies for every band. We have examples like Turbos or Pliny that they were able to make it out by themselves. Why? Because we live in a year that you have everything, literally everything, at your reach. If you want to get your music out, you can do it. You have Spotify, you have iTunes. You want exposure, you can do it. You have social media. The thing is that it does require a lot of effort. So it's not easy. It wasn't easy for them. It's probably not easy for any band. It does require a lot of effort, for sure. And that's the reason why a label is still important, because they may help you, but it's not required to make it. So
Well, the thing is that in our country, we can schedule any concert for the next 6 months for all the pandemic stuff that we are going through. So for now, we are looking forward for our next album, and we are planning to play some concerts next year. Also, we are trying to book some dates in Mexico. We have only played once because we were focused writing our album, but I have to say that that concert, it was so epic, because I don't know, it was so great to feel the energy of people, and it was so full, even though that we only had a non-professional recording for that time. Well, the most recent music album that impressed us, that we were talking about it, it was the new album of Haken called Virus. Well, it's just great. The composition, the odd signatures, and of course the cover art.
About the question of the metal scene here in Costa Rica, I would say that unfortunately it's a little bit difficult. It's not the favorite type of music here. Basically, the favorite is something you can dance to at parties, such as reggaeton or something like pop music. However, not a lot of people like metal here, so it's way harder to make a living out of that. Actually, being a musician here overall is a little bit hard. I know people that live from music only. However, I don't know anyone who lives out of metal music or composing metal music, so that's a challenge. However, I think the scene is growing and we have received a lot of support. It has been overwhelming, the great feedback and comments and support to our music, so that's great. About the question of where we would like to live, at least in my opinion, I would love to live in Netherlands. I think it is an amazing country. It has a lot of great aspects in its culture, and also it's very beautiful, and I think it supports a little bit more the metal music. For instance, Epica, which is one of my favorite bands, comes from the Netherlands, so yeah, that is where I would like to live if I lived in another country.
One thing that might happen after the pandemic is that concerts won't be as crowded as we are used to. And one of the main reasons might be that there will be some type of regulation that governments have to take for massive events such as concerts. So maybe the price for concert tickets will go up. This might not affect huge bands such as Metallica or Iron Maiden because they already have well-established fan bases, but what will happen with bands that are just starting out? That's a major concern that a lot of us have, and I don't want to overgeneralize because I don't know what happens in other countries, but at least here in Costa Rica, there is not that much support for local bands, even if the price for the concert tickets are pretty inexpensive. So now imagine if the prices go up, then people might not want to go to one of these concerts. So one thing that I consider that bands should think about is to reinvent themselves in terms of the shows they want to provide. So the price for their concerts is worth paying for. Some of the plans that we have are to continue with the storyline of Turmoil, and with those ideas write new music. So we're planning on releasing new singles maybe next year based on that storyline, or maybe on side stories. And we are also thinking about things that we want for our future gigs, like stage presence, lights, special effects, because we want to create like an experience for both the audience and for ourselves. And we would like to play abroad. We were thinking about going to Mexico, but if the opportunity to go to other country appears, I mean, we would be more than glad to go there and have some fun.